Night air in Mississippi cuts two ways. Got the sweetness of honeysuckle and the sour bite of danger. Out here in Neshoba County, the road snakes past pines and pasture, and a man can hear his own heartbeat louder than the engine. They don't know it, but they ain't alone on this road tonight. A deputy's badge flashes in headlights. Siren chirps once, like a warning flick of a snake's tongue. Freedom Summer, 1964. A season of courage built on centuries of stubborn love. Folks from all over, black and white, southern and northern, came down to help register black citizens who'd been blocked, bullied, and bloodied away from the ballot box. Just days before they disappeared, a little church, Mount Zion Methodist in the Longdale community, was beaten down by fists and set on fire by men in the Klan. 2 days after, that charred station wagon turned up in a swamp. The paint blistered, the metal warped like grief. That's when the feds rolled in heavy. President Johnson, Attorney General Robert Kennedy, Washington put its finger on the map and said, "Find those boys." The FBI opened a brand new field office in Jackson and launched Operation MyBurn, short for Mississippi Burning. 44 days later, August 4th, an informant whispered the secret, an earthen dam on a local farm. Dig there. They did. They found the three, stacked in the earth like somebody tried to hide the world's conscience under a shovel of dirt. Goodman and Schwerner had each been shot in the heart. James Earl Chaney, 21 years old, was beaten so bad the coroner had to catalog pain like a ledger. Mississippi didn't dare bring murder charges. Not then. Not with the local power tied up tight with the men who did the deed. The case made its way up to the U.S. Supreme Court in United States v. Price, 1966. The question was sharp as a razor. Could the federal government prosecute local lawmen? In 1967, a federal jury delivered guilty verdicts, not for murder but for conspiracy against a handful. Deputy Cecil Price, Klan leader Sam Bowers, and others. Sentences ran light, some just a few years. The man prosecutor said orchestrated the Klan's go order, Edgar Ray Killen, a preacher and a Kleagle, walked free. Trouble with burying truth is, it rises. Decades later, again and again, folks pressed to reopen the case. Reporters dug, professors taught, children asked why, till the questions grew heavy enough for the state to act. 41 years to the day after the murders, June 21, 2005, Mississippi finally charged Edgar Ray Killen in state court. The jury found him guilty of manslaughter, and a judge sent him away for 60 years. Some said that was too little, too late. The evidence, now that's a grim teacher. Informants from inside the Klan described how Mount Zion was targeted, how the church burning set the stage, how lawmen and Klansmen tangled up to catch the three on the highway after Deputy Cecil Price released them from the Neshoba County jail. Witnesses said the bodies were taken to a dam on land owned by Olin Barrage. Men shoveled earth over the evidence, but secrets don't hold steady in this climate. The informant whispered. The FBI dug. The truth blinked in daylight. Here's where the law speaks in a language colder than grief, but cut to fit the times. The Supreme Court said that kind of conspiracy hits the 14th Amendment's heart, and Congress had passed criminal statutes to punish it. Some histories say the murders galvanized the nation, pouring fuel into the push that carried the Civil Rights Act of 1964 over the finish line. Although the sentences were small, the precedent was mighty, setting a blueprint for later civil rights prosecutions. Years later, Hollywood told its own story called Mississippi Burning. It got the mood right, the fear, the heat, the stink of hatred. But it centered federal agents and shadowed the local black movement. That's how stories bend sometimes, from who did the work to who did the rescue. But the real heart of Freedom Summer lived in black Mississippians, in elders who signed their names, in teenagers who opened churches. If you don't keep that center, you'll misplace the truth while staring dead at the facts. James Earl Chaney, 21 years old, black Mississippian, core worker, the heartbeat of the trio. He knew the ground they walked. He knew its rules. Michael Schwerner and Andrew Goodman, two white New Yorkers, outsiders who chose to be insiders to a promise, who believed the Constitution shouldn't need to check your zip code before it protects your life. The irony, the terrible arithmetic. The case drew national panic in part because two victims were white. Time moves, but archives grow. FBI materials, old files newly examined, keep filling in the night's timeline. Each anniversary, new details get daylight, not to relive the horror, but to fix the record so lies got no shade to hide in. In Mississippi's state archives, you can request the Attorney General's research files on the case, transcripts, informant reports, interviews. You sit in a quiet room and the past talks to you, not loud, not proud, just steady. That's how memory wins, by refusing to leave. They burned Mount Zion to scare a people, but the people rebuilt. The church stands as a witness to the beating of its elders, to the matches struck by the Klan, and to the stubborn, holy insistence that we gonna be free right here. Historians wrote whole books about that church, and the state even documented how black congregations across the South rebuilt their sanctuaries after arson. The building is wood and paint. The witness is the people. Some folks measure justice by years served or verdicts read. Others measure it by laws changed and lives saved. The DOJ closure in 2016 said, "We've come to the legal end of this road." But the archives opening in 2021 said, "The story ain't closed to us. Those pages are our inheritance. We get to read them. We get to learn. We get to do better." Today, folks still line up to register, to vote, to sit on juries, to teach what really happened. The lines are shorter in some places, longer in others. The law swings like a gate, open, closed, open again. But if you listen close on a hot summer night, you can hear the crickets and the tires and the hush of history. Freedom. Summer wasn't just a season, it's a method. It's neighbors deciding the state ain't the final say on their dignity. Come back with me to that road. The one where James Chaney, Andrew Goodman, and Michael Schwerner took their last ride. I picture the sky half purple with sunset. I picture Chaney cracking a half smile about something small and human. I picture not the men who waited in the dark, but the men these three might have become. Teacher, father, organizer, elder. If you want to honor them, don't let their story stay a cautionary tale. Make it a directive. Mississippi tried to burn a movement and buried 3 young men to hide the fire. But the fire caught anyway. Caught in law books, in courtrooms, in songs, in churches that rose up from ashes, in the hands of students filling out registration forms. Folks ask me sometimes, was justice done? I tell them we moved the line. That ain't the end of the story. If this story matters to you, if you believe we can't afford to forget, press subscribe, share this with somebody, and leave a comment with the names and places your family fought for. Let's put our own testimony on the record.